What's it like being a black conservative in America? Nobody better ask this question than you.
Honestly, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was when I first got into this back in 2015, because that was the first time they saw Trump, and people just could not see past how could this possibly happen. And I think the media had a stronger hold on people's minds then than it does now. Now we've seen the explosion of independent media. People are able to get their voices out outside of the New York Times and CNN and Fox News, and that's helped tremendously to defeat all of these media caricatures that are being created. But I find it now, it's pioneering, to put it in a nice way. And I think it's the most rewarding thing ever when what I have found is that if you just stand for truth, even in the beginning when it's really hard and people say terrible things about you, and I've been called everything you could possibly imagine, then there's that moment, even if it takes years, where they do come back and they say you were right, particularly about BLM. I mean, I was hitting the drum about the finances so early, and I'm going, I'm not saying that you don't have feelings about this thing, but I am telling you something else is going on. And this is going to harm the Black community in the end. This money is just going to be zapped out of communities, and communities are going to be destroyed. And then when that was proven right, it was so refreshing to hear people say, yeah, we kind of hated her for a really long time. We're kind of saying this for a really long time. And then, the fraud of Patrice Cullors and what they were doing with the money. And so my brain just works differently. I am different, and I'm happy being different. I don't want to be the same.
Yeah, she's definitely different. And that's one of the things that I like about Candace, she's kind of like Trump in a way, Trump isn't a guy that really holds his tongue, he just says what it is, how he feels about it, and he doesn't care, who's going to get offended by it. He just says it. That's the way Candace Owens is. So, I definitely respect people that are like that, who just tell it like it is, right? They don't sugarcoat anything. So shout out to Candace Owens. But I also want to show you guys this clip of Candace Owens sitting down with Stephen A. Smith and really, I don't want to say schooling, but shocking him in a way. And honestly, I really don't. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel. Do you think Stephen A. is truly shocked, or does he have to act shocked so he doesn't lose his job? I feel like Stephen A. is trying to walk a very thin line, because there's times where he'll say things that make complete and total sense. Like, he'll say Republicans are doing a fantastic job, blah, blah, blah. But then he'll say, but the Democrats, he'll say, but the Democrat Party. Like, he's trying to, play both sides of the fence. And it's like, Stephen A., what do you actually believe? What do you truly believe? I think he truly probably voted Republican, but he's afraid to actually come out and say it. Due to possibly him losing his job or something. I don't know. But y'all let me know how y'all feel. But anyway, let's hop into this clip. Let's dive in.
Back to Trump in this regard, we just saw it, that world just saw. It wasn't a press conference or anything like that. I don't call it that. Him with Ukrainian President Zelensky and how he went at him and what have you. Now, Zelensky, if I remember correctly, you didn't speak too highly of him. I want to make sure I'm quoting you accurately. You called him a homosexual actor. Is that true? Did you call him that?
I also just called him the neighborhood crackhead, kind of just goes around asking for money. I've called him a welfare queen, ghetto. This is the thing. The media kind of had me depicted throughout BLM as this person that uses these words to describe Black people. I'm like, no. Let's be very clear. When I'm calling somebody like Zelensky a welfare queen, there's a reason for that. You come here with your hand out, asking, making demands. It's funny because I was having a discussion with my husband about this, and it's people that tend to need the most that make these sorts of demands, and they're so arrogant. He's taken billions away, unaccounted billions, by the way. So you and I have to get to work because Zelensky wants his borders protected, and we can't have our borders protected because that would be a racist thing to ask for. But he's allowed to demand that you and I get to work because he's spent all the billions. His wife is shopping in Paris. The oligarchs in Ukraine are all buying yachts. And yeah, I have absolutely no respect for him, but I want to say I have not respected that man since day one. This is not something that's new. I just saw him coming.
It's not something that's new, but what about Trump and Vance and how they conducted themselves? You and I might disagree on this particular issue, because I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of, I was on the record saying, listen, you're coming with your hand out, you need money. You might not want to be confrontational. You might want to be a bit more diplomatic, Zelensky, because you're the one that's in need. And Trump wasn't wrong when he said, you don't have any of the cards. You don't have any of the cards. The flip side to it, however, is that the press conference, you're in the Oval Office. We know this is the White House. This isn't someplace in Ukraine. And he's got broken English, and you got the vice president interrupting him. You got them, I thought, somewhat bullying him to some degree. I just didn't think it was necessary. It was a good look. That's where I'm coming from. Am I wrong in feeling that way?
No, I think you're perfectly, I mean, these are your feelings. They're valid, right? If that's how you felt. For me, I felt it was refreshing. I'm so tired of politics. I know they always button it up for us. They're constantly telling us, oh, this, and saying things that sound good, but don't actually result in good things. And I think.
Yeah, but then also, like I was saying earlier, they're also always trying to button up things to sound or seem politically correct, right? And so to have Trump in there, who is a guy who just tells it like it is, he doesn't care about being politically correct, he just says it, is refreshing. I love it. Absolutely love it, because Trump talks like we all talk behind closed doors. Trump just says it out in the open, which is why when people were like, I don't like the way Trump talks, I'm like, shut up. You've talked that same way. Your mom talked the same. Your pops, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, all talk that same way when y'all hanging out together. Trump just says it out in public. What's the difference? Well, Trump is your president, and it's a job. I mean, yes, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful country on this planet, but still, like, what, you expect this person to be a robot or something? Like, that's what we had, and how well did that work? We had a guy who they wouldn't even let out in public most of the time, and when he did, it was scripted. How well did that go? All right, then. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing but expecting a different result. We don't want robots in the White House anymore. We want somebody who's going to stand on business and speak for themselves, not wait. And I called this out because I noticed it. Whenever anything big happened, anything major, like the derailment in Palestine, Ohio, the floods in North Carolina, like anything major, they always waited a day or two before they came out and made like an official statement. Biden or Kamala, it was always like a day or two, and that always seemed weird to me. To me, that said that you're not actually saying this stuff. Somebody else, a team of other people, are putting these words together for you to come out and say. I don't want that. Trump, he'll just come out the same day. Like when the helicopter ran into the plane. You guys remember that crash? And it landed in the water, and Trump came out, and the reporter asked, "Are you going to visit the crash site?" And Trump was like, no, it's in the water. Like, what do you want me to, like, that's not prepared. Like, he just says what it is. I love that. That's refreshing. But let me know if you agree.
Think it was sort of the frustration of how much he has taken from America to not come with some respect. And I likened it to, even when you go to your granddad's house and it's your birthday, your mom kind of makes you wear something special. He's going to give you a card and slip some cash in there, $100. Granddad's always good for that. And you just come with some decorum and some respect. This dude has been wearing military fatigues for like 5 years now. Okay. Put on a suit. As soon as he gets out of the car, Trump's like, well, he's dressed up. This should let you know, this should signal to the public that what he's doing is an act. Why? Give me a scenario, a reason why he can't put on a suit. Even if you're in the midst of a war, why can't you put on a suit when you're coming to ask for money? Well, because he wants people to see him as a guy that's downtrodden in the trenches. And he's not that. This guy has been on the cover of Vanity Fair. He's been on the cover of Vogue. He's been on the cover of Forbes. He's doing photo shoots. He did a 3-hour podcast with Lex Friedman. He asked and was declined a spot to go to the Oscars a couple of years ago. And so this is making a mockery.
Damn.
It's just making him put on a suit.
See, this is why people got to be careful about messing with you, because I was getting ready to disagree with you until you threw out those last. Like, I didn't know he tried to go to the Oscars. I didn't know he tried to be on the cover of Vogue. I didn't know that stuff, Candace. I honestly didn't know. Okay, that does change it a little bit.
And he is a literal actor, by the way. You know that, right?
That I know. What I will say this, though, any sympathy for the fact that Russia did attack his nation? I mean, that there is some sympathy for that, right? We see the rubble. We see the catastrophe that is Ukraine. We see Putin bombing them, for crying out loud. We've seen that happen, right?
Yeah. So the thing for me is, and the reason why I say that I've had this opinion since the very beginning, is I don't rely on politicians politicians, I think all politicians lie. And so I was reading the transcripts leading up to this moment of Putin's speeches and Biden's speeches and trying to discern what the truth was. And Putin was saying, you guys gave us assurances that NATO was not going to expand 1 inch eastward into our territory. Essentially, NATO is a military. We were putting a military on his border, despite in 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, as a condition, an agreement for them to agree to take down the Berlin Wall. We promised, and you can go look at this in NSA declassified documents. James Baker was the Secretary of State at that time.
Yes, he was.
We promised them that we would never move NATO eastward. So you have to imagine the memory that they have, and they're going, why are you now doing that? Now all of a sudden we're saying that Ukraine is going to join NATO, and he's saying this is unacceptable. America can't keep changing its mind. And so when I was able to validate what he said and to read the speeches, you cannot walk away from that without an understanding that we are the aggressors. Everything that we say Russia is doing, recreating the Soviet Union, we are doing that. What is the European Union? What is NATO? And we've been getting away from it for too long under this guise of quote unquote spreading democracy. So I fundamentally disagreed with what I saw as Western propaganda trying to paint Putin as a monster for holding us to our promises and not telling the public that. He just randomly woke up one day and just said, I want to do hood rat stuff with my friends. And he went into Ukraine. That's a fairy tale. That's not what happened. And not beyond that, like you saw when he sat down with Tucker Carlson, he asked to join NATO himself. Why are we not having a productive relationship with Russia? I call that Cold War hangover. People that grew up under their desks afraid of a nuclear bomb can never see Russia outside of being villainous. And quite frankly, I think Zelensky he suspended elections. He's locked down churches. He's locked up nuns. I'm a Christian. I don't like this guy at all.
That's Candace Owens. That's Candace Owens, being quite honest. I get that part.
Yeah. Another reason why I like Candace, bro. Like I'm telling you, she tells it like it is. And she made a great point. Why aren't we trying to team up with Russia? Why? Why not? What do we want nukes flying? Like do we want to constantly be on edge and just be ready to send nukes at each other? Like what are we doing? What are we doing? Why aren't we, teaming up with these folks? Why not? If anybody can explain to me why not, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen. But when you have people in the government that constantly keep telling you, these guys need to be your enemy, these guys need to be your enemy, hate those guys, you should probably question it. Because that's the same thing they did to Trump. The same exact thing. Trump bad, Trump terrible, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. And what happens whenever they run out of things to say? What do they always do? Trump Russia, Russia. It's always it's the same thing every single time. So why are they continually doing this? What's the incentive? I've gathered the incentive is the almighty dollar. They're making a lot of money off of it. That's my humble opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all can let me know. But it just simply doesn't make sense to me that we wouldn't want to have peace, if not a beneficial relationship with one of the most powerful countries on this planet. That just makes sense. If we go to war, we all die. Simple. Like, well, what, are we just all going to survive a bunch of nukes being sent our way? Absolutely not. There's no winning in this. The only winning I see is us teaming up. Then we all benefit. We all benefit from everything. So y'all can let me know how y'all feel, man. I tend to agree with Candace Owens on this. It just doesn't make sense why we wouldn't want to team up with Russia. Like that just seems like common sense to me. Maybe there's something about Russia that I'm not quite aware of, which is why, and I always say this, I never want to get into the space where I feel like I know it all. I know I don't know it all. There's a lot of things that I don't know. And maybe there is something about Russia that I don't know, which is why we could never team up with Russia. We can never be true partners with Russia. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But if there is, let me know. And if there isn't, why haven't we teamed up with them? And why is it all of a sudden a bad thing that Trump is like, yeah, maybe we should talk to these guys and let's create some peace. And I think I saw a video of Putin talking about he wants to create a beneficial relationship with something. I forgot what it was, but Putin was basically talking about how he wanted to team up with us in the U.S. And have some type of relationship with minerals or something like that. And I see that as a good thing. I see that as a phenomenal thing. If we benefit from it, like, why not? But like I said, maybe I'm missing something. Let me know. And then I love how Candace Owens educated Stephen A. Smith on Zelensky, and that's the thing also about mainstream media and why mainstream media will continue to tank. They only tell you the part of the story that they want you to know. All the rest of it, they call misinformation or right-wing propaganda or just flat out lies. But it's actually the truth. It's actually the truth. Everything that Candace Owens said there, I have read myself. Everything that she said, I've read myself. I've even seen videos, which I'm not about to show y'all those videos right here, right now. Some of them are a little, let's just say, probably not appropriate. Okay. So yeah, man, let me know. Do y'all feel the same? Do you feel different? Why not? Talk to me. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.